Hey, I hope you're having an amazing day. And in today's video, I'll be showing you why you should be focusing on content for the nearest future. Why is it essentially the best time and money investment that you can make, and why all the wealthy individuals, including Gary Vaynerchuk, who has been promoting it from the beginning, but others like Bradley or Alex Hormozi, who are in position where they do not need to promote themselves that much anymore, are still doing this, and why they're leveraging content. This video will give you all these answers, and after watching it, you'll have an exact idea why you need to do this as well. Before I dive into the video, I want to thank my man Serge, who gave me the inspiration, who taught me the nuances behind it, and who has been inspiration for this video. So shout out to you, Serge. And yeah, let's show you what we got. All right, so who is this video essentially for? If you own an e-com business, if you own a SaaS company, if you're in a coaching business, regardless of what's your profession, content should be a great part of it, and only thing that changes is the actual content that you're producing. Now, you might be wondering if you running an e-com business or being a coach or running a SaaS company might make a difference, and the answer is no. The only thing that changes is the type of content that you should be putting out. But other than that, content is the most vital part of any niche, any business type, and it's something that you should still be doing. So regardless of what niche, what business are you currently in, you should be watching this video and learning from what I got to tell you. So first, let's talk about how do we convert complete strangers into the paying customers, right? You have multiple methods, you probably tried all of them, but let's take a quick look at a few that are most common. So obviously you might be running ads on social media, you might be using inbound or outbound prospecting campaigns, you might have some low ticket products or offers that are easier to sell and get people in the door, that leads to upsells later on, or you have webinars, VSLs that you drive traffic to in hopes for conversion. And all of these methods work to some regard, and they're quite powerful if you know how to do them correctly. But what's wrong with these acquisition methods is that margins are slim, because no one will spend thousands with someone they don't like and trust, and the quality diminishes over time. So the margins and the trust is something that we'll be talking about a lot in regard with the content, but I want to talk about the quality a little bit, because what you experience, and you're probably experiencing right now as well, regardless if you're using a webinar or ads, the quality diminishes. And if you have some results in the beginning, let's say for example for ads, if you, let's say, look at the ad in 2-week time or 1 month time, there is usually fatigue, or the results won't be as great as they were in the beginning. Not to mention, if you try and scale these ads, you probably won't retain the same ROAS with higher ad spend. It's possible, but it's something that really isn't the best option, and there are better resources in which you can invest in order to get this kind of return, right? So inability or all of these results in inability to make more money from simply increasing ad budget, volume of prospecting, traffic to webinar, etc. You won't get symmetrical returns when you invest more money into getting the traffic or the flow or the ad spend, so you can actually reach more people. And you probably already know that there are certain phases to acquiring a customer, right? And this is where we will be talking about the trust that comes in between. Because if you just, for example, run an ad and the prospect has the first touch point with your brand, if everything is perfect, then yeah, they might convert right on the first contact with your brand, because of your branding, because of your story, because of the quality of your product. But it's not usually the case, right? You need multiple touch points to make this happen. And this is where the phases of customer journey comes in play. So you probably know that there's phases like awareness, considerations, that come before the actual sale. And then you have the actual decision that leads to the sale, and then you have the post-sale. Right now, our main focus is obviously to get from awareness to the actual sale, and then obviously the lifetime value of the customer comes in play. But the consideration phase is where the most fail to educate, build trust, and make people fall in love with the product. Because these people that just learn about your brand, as I mentioned, if you do not have something that actually blows them away right from the bat, you need to have multiple touch points where you need to educate people, where you need to build trust, and you need to make people fall in love with you, right? So the consideration phase is something that we should be focusing on the most. And the question is, how do we do that? Can we do that with these acquisition methods that we're using? Like, obviously we can be doing that with ads, right? We can have multiple touch points. We can do retargeting. We can do that with outbound prospecting, where we establish contact with the customer and then we just message them and try to build a relationship, right? With offers, we can deliver great quality with the low ticket offer or low ticket product, right? And we can then upsell them. We can do the same with VSL. We can have multiple VSLs. The question is, how do we get the new informations in front of person without spending too much money on the ads and without getting or asking for lots and lots of time from the customer when it comes to, let's say, outbound prospecting or the webinars, right? Because nobody will watch multiple VSLs or let's say a video of you selling them the brand if you force him to do that, right? So the answer is, to successfully get through the consideration phase, you need energy that is leveraged. And this is really important. You need energy that is leveraged and translates into multiple touch points over a period of time. And the answer is simply content, right? What form of content, it doesn't really matter. Long form, short form, pictures, copy, email, podcast, it doesn't really matter. And obviously there are some methods that are better for certain types of businesses, right? Which I'll get into in a second. But in this case, it's all about getting in front of your customers as much as possible, but letting them to consume the content rather than you pushing yourself in front of them. It might take a little bit longer time to convert a customer, but this is the best bet that you have, because those people that are interested in the product and the solution that the product is offering, they will buy right away. But for the others, you need to have as many touch points as possible and make people have the time to actually build the trust and make them fall in love with you. So if you take a look at Gary Vaynerchuk, who has been promoting content forever, or people like Alex Hormozi or Brad Lee, you notice the pattern that these people do not necessarily need to have so much content out just to land business, right? They're serial entrepreneurs, they're crushing it, they're made millions, but they're still putting so much money, so much resources into making content, right? If I show you Alex Hormozi's reels, he's producing 3 reels a day minimum, right? And this is ongoing. And in his position, right, he doesn't really need to do this, but he understands that rather than running ads, having webinars or VSLs, he offers everything. He puts everything on the table. He offers all the value that he has to give just to build the relationship with the brand, with the person, and actually get them to fall in love with him, right? Or feel that reciprocity on the actual amount of value that they get from him, and the people actually want to repay him somehow, right? So whenever the time comes, and as his offer is being helping people that have brands that have 3 million or more revenue over 1 year to grow to 100 million, these people will be, when they're looking at all the content and getting all the value and get to that point, will be most likely to actually call up Alex and start working with him, right? So this is the best form of advertisement he can be doing. It's much better than the ads, it's much better than the VSLs, because he's actually making so many touch points, right? And on top of that, remember when I mentioned And Bradley is the another example of a guy that is crushing it with reels and making shorts from podcasts and from YouTube videos and everything, right? So if we go back and we focus on the leverage that we can actually create and on what these guys are doing, they're using their energy to produce amazing content, which is then leveraged because it's pushed to so many people, and people can always find the content on different platforms. They can consume it multiple times. They can consume it all over, right? In comparison, if you do outbound prospecting, you need to write to every single person, and to reach 7 billion people on the planet, like it would take you probably your whole lifetime, even more, right? If you, let's say, consider ads, in ads, you need to pay for every person that the ad is shown to, right? With content, you have unlimited reach, right? With webinar VSLs as well, like you need to drive traffic to those pieces of content. And don't take me wrong, like you need to drive traffic or the content needs to be viewed as well. But the beauty of content is that the platforms will drive traffic for you, right? After some time, if you're building it consistently, the people will be coming by themselves and the platform will be pushing your content because it's actually so good and people keep watching it, right? So these two words, energy and leverage, are really, really important in this scenario. And this is why content is the actual best choice that you can have to educate, build trust, and make people fall in love with your brand. Now, what can the new consideration phase look like? Since you might be running an e-com brand, SaaS company, you might be a coach, you might have either physical product or a service. And the journey is essentially pretty similar, right? You start with the free value content, right? And this is something that you need to realize, right? We do not have a traffic that we run to our free value content. As I mentioned, the free value content, it's traffic in itself, because if you put out lots and lots of value without holding anything back, it will actually drive the traffic via the platform naturally, organically, right? Even if you're e-com brand and you do not, let's say, have a information that will transform someone's life, you can be still talking about your mission. You can be still talking about the product benefits and the problem solution. Or if you're, let's say, in a baby niche, you can have a blog, you can have a form of content that will be going over solving the problems that mothers might have with their babies, right? There's always something that you can make the content about. But if you have the value content on your hands, it's really, really easy to have the platforms drive quality traffic for you for free, right? And then obviously, if you have the product, email newsletter might be a better option. How to, let's say, get lots of content in front of people for essentially for free, right? And how you can keep communicating with people while essentially, besides having content produce traffic. So you have traffic that is coming from your content. You then have email newsletter what is promoting your content and actually sending more people back to your content so you can have more touch points, right? Then obviously in the email newsletter, you also might be sharing more valuable content, which is not accessible for the public, right? Which is another selling point for people to actually go for the content. And you're creating amazing, massive volume of the actual touch points and build the trust with the customer to the point where they actually become paying customer, right? And on the other hand, of the service side of things, the structure is almost the same, but one thing that I would recommend is actually building a free community, right? You can look at some Owens, Tyler Welch, and other people that are actually still like investing time into building Facebook group, Discord community, something that they do not have to do at their point in their career, but they're still doing that because if you have a free community where you can make it seem even that you're posting consistently, you're providing more valuable content that is freely accessible on your social media, you're building that community that is falling in love with you, that are your raving fans, and they are much easier to become your customers, right? So if you have that first touch point, let's say even through the ads or through the content, and you then redirect people and collect their email addresses or get them into your private community, they will be getting more valuable content in those communities and newsletters. They'll be falling in love that much quicker, and then it's just about the quality content that you're producing and the amount of time for them to become customers. So I hope after watching this video, regardless if you post ton of content already or you're just starting out, you start posting even more and you start sharing every piece of value that you've got. Because I can guarantee you, even if you show people the what of your service, they will still need the how. They will still need the step-by-step processes. So there might be a 1% that actually takes that knowledge and start implementing it and be successful with it to some regard. But there will still be questions that will be just that you will just be able to answer with your position, with your knowledge. So sharing everything just give you that edge over your competition who is trying to hide their knowledge in order to have something to sell. And if you found this video helpful, give it a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.